Welcome to the Cryptosphere. This is Cryptogenic coming at you. Today is Tuesday, June 7th at 7:57 a.m. here in Northern California. In this video today, I'm going to make the case for a massive move in the altcoin market between now and the end of August. What I'm expecting is at least a 50% rally of the altcoin market. And if we can break above that, the altcoin market will make a new all-time high before September 1st. 2022. I'm going to show you the evidence for that in the chart. So let's jump right in. Now, when we're talking about a massive move in the altcoin market, what we're really talking about is the relationship between Bitcoin and the altcoins. And this chart that I'm looking at here is the weekly Bitcoin dominance chart. The weekly Bitcoin dominance chart. And the question is, are we going to break out or are we going to break down? Now, I watched Benjamin Cohen's video yesterday. I have high respect for Benjamin Cohen. I've been watching him for quite a while. And he expects a massive breakout of Bitcoin dominance, a massive increase of Bitcoin dominance. And I went to the charts looking for that because when Benjamin Cohen says he expects something, I go looking for it. I respect that perspective. However, I don't see that in the charts. Matter of fact, this chart is telling me to expect the opposite, and I'll tell you why. This is a weekly chart, and as you all know, my bread and butter is simply charting the convergence and divergence between the price action and the RSI on the weekly chart. Looking at this Bitcoin dominance chart, what we see is, yes, Bitcoin dominance has rallied between January of this year, the beginning of January, and where we are today. We've seen about a 20%, as much as a 21% increase in Bitcoin dominance. The question is Bitcoin dominance going to break above this line and return to some of these higher levels, as many people expect? Are we going to see a breakout of Bitcoin dominance? Well, there's two reasons why I don't see that happening, at least looking at this weekly chart. First is we're coming up to this line of resistance, which is natural. We've just been moving in this range. And the fact that we're seeing a breakout here means nothing unless we've broken above this range. But secondly, the RSI is close to topping out. That is, it's moving towards this overbought position. So whenever you're seeing on the weekly chart the RSI coming to the top of its range, you're not preparing for a major move upward. What we're seeing on the weekly chart as the RSI comes to the top of its range, it means that the price action is coming to the top of its range as well. And we could see bearish divergence in the RSI, where the price keeps moving up even though the RSI is moving down. But that's the next reason. We've already been seeing bearish divergence in the RSI on the weekly chart. We saw the RSI move down here from this high to this high, while the price action, really the percentage, moves slightly upwards. So we already saw bearish divergence in the RSI, and all I'm seeing here is that we're coming to continue that, basically. I think the chances are we're going to make a second lower high here in the RSI, and Bitcoin dominance is going to get rejected at this line. Now, don't take the weekly chart's perspective for it. Let's take a look at the daily chart and see what we see in the daily chart. And you're right, in the daily chart, what we see is we had this major breakout here on May 11th, 2022, and Bitcoin dominance went on to make a 14% run. So are we expecting to explode here? Right? Are we going to break above this and move on? Well, what we see in the RSI is that we've been overbought since May 12th, and we hung out in this overbought position for some time. There's no way that we can see a massive move upward here in the RSI, and because of that, there's no way that Bitcoin dominance percentage-wise can make a massive move upward either. We've got to come back and cool off. We've got to at least come back and check in with this line and consolidate for a little while before we take off again in the RSI. It doesn't mean that we can't break out again. Bitcoin dominance will have its day again. It will break out. I just don't see that as an imminent move. Finally, looking at Bitcoin dominance on the 4-hour chart, this is what I'm seeing. we're seeing really, to me, the bearish divergence is much more massive. Going back to May 12th, we saw from this high to this high was a substantially higher high, but in the RSI, from this high to this high was slightly lower, basically flat. But then we see from this high to this high was a higher high again, but less higher than from this high to this high. In other words, we're getting a diminishing return here, which is always a sign that the energy is leaving the wine. But then we're getting a more pronounced lower low in the RSI. So what the 4-hour chart is telling me is that the breakdown is imminent, that any minute we can expect a breakdown in Bitcoin dominance. We can expect Bitcoin dominance to begin to retrace, Bitcoin dominance to begin to break down and decrease, which means that some money is coming into the altcoin market. Now, this is the altcoin market chart, and here's what I'm seeing with the altcoin market chart. I'm seeing the opposite of what I'm seeing on the weekly Bitcoin dominance chart. This is the weekly Bitcoin dominance chart. The RSI is topping out. But the weekly altcoin market cap chart, the RSI is bottoming out. So the RSI on the altcoin chart is bottoming out. The RSI on the Bitcoin dominance chart is topping out. You put those two data points together, and what I expect to see is a major move in the altcoin market. Now, at the very least, what I would expect is the altcoin market cap to come back and retest this line here. All right? It's still in this bearish trajectory unless it breaks above this line. If the alt market comes and retests this line in the RSI, what I would expect is the price to test this line in the price. Now, if we do come and retest this line, and this takes us to September 5th, right at the beginning of September, if we see a move like this, what does this look like? Well, from this line of support to this line, that's about a 57% move. Just to retest this line, we're looking at about a 55% move in the alt market chart. Now, if we can break above this line of resistance, we're out of this bearish trend. If we can break above this line of resistance, we've broken out of this bearish trend. So it could be that we come up, test, come back down, and then break out. Or we could break out and head for a new all-time high. But if we can break above this trend, then we will see a new all-time high in the altcoin market, and that could be as early as November of this year. If we make a new all-time high in the altcoin market, you're talking about a 270% move. Now, I want us to understand that when I talk about, say, a 55% move in the altcoin market or a 270% move in the altcoin market, I'm not simply meaning that every altcoin is going to grow by 50% or increase in value by 50%, or every altcoin is going to increase in value by 272%. It means that the best assets in the altcoin market, some of them are going to grow and increase in value by hundreds of percentage points, maybe even thousands of percentage points. And some of them are going to do absolutely nothing. All right? Now, I want to take a look at a couple of altcoins to kind of see what this looks like on a chart-by-chart basis. The first altcoin I want to take a look at is Cardano, ADA. A member of my group requested that I cover Cardano in this video, and so I am covering it. I'm also covering two other charts requested by members of my Patreon community. The first is THETA token and the other is TFUEL. Taking a look at Cardano here, I'm expecting a breakout in Cardano in the near future, and here's why. We saw this break. So first of all, going back over here, we saw massive bearish divergence in the Cardano chart. From this high to this high was a higher high, but from this high to this high was a lower high, and it was a massively lower high. But Cardano continued to have one more move up. From this high to this high was a higher high, but notice we got decreasing what do you call it? Decreasing results. So this was a steeper high than this one, right? But once again, we made a second lower high here in the RSI. And this you can take to the bank. If on the weekly chart, you're seeing higher highs in the price, lower highs in the RSI, that should be a sign unto you that the energy is leaving the wine, that this market is going to pull back, and it's going to pull back hard. And this is why I got mostly out of Cardano over here in this move up, because I saw the writing on the wall that this was going to pull back hard. And so we've seen this massive move down, about 87% for Cardano, over a 280-day period. So we've seen Cardano pull back for about 280 days. But what I'm seeing here in the RSI is there's a good chance that we've bottomed out on the weekly chart. Now, if Cardano has bottomed out, what we're going to see is a break above this line of resistance. Number one, if we break above this line of resistance, we've broken out of the trend, and we can see that as early July. Number two, if we can break above this line, we've made a higher high. Notice from this high, if we can make a higher high here, we've started a new bullish trend. And look at this, already we're starting to see higher highs here. If we make another higher high here, we've started a new trend. That's a new bullish trend. We simply got to break out of this lower lows. If this line of resistance becomes a line of support, if we can break above these two lines and this becomes support, Cardano is going to break out of this trend here and begin moving upward again. I believe we can see that by mid-July. Okay? I'm believing we can see that by mid-July. Now, I want to take a look at THETA token here. THETA token on the weekly chart. We saw the same thing here with THETA token on the weekly chart. We had massive bearish divergence in the RSI here. Massive. Where do I see that? It gave us a little bit, it actually gave us only a little bit of notice. From this high to this high is a higher high. But from this high to this high is a lower high, but it's steeply lower. By the time we move from this high to this high and get a second lower high, from this high to this high is only a slightly lower high, the energy has left the wine. That it's a sign to us that this market has topped out. Secondly, I mean, if you just look at how this is a blow off top in terms of RSI. We're at 95.94 in the RSI. That is insanely high. So already the market is telling us THETA token can't go no higher, right? So now we see this massive pullback. What we're seeing here in the RSI, if we can just zoom into the RSI here, what we're seeing is that we are at a historic low in the RSI for THETA token. There is good reason to believe that the RSI has bottomed out, which means here's what we see for THETA token. When the RSI bottoms out, we see these massive moves upward. Look at this. The RSI hits a bottom and then boom. The RSI hits a bottom and then boom, right? And so from when it bottomed out from there to there, we saw this massive move upward. What I'm expecting is to see a similar move upward. Now, if we can get all the way up here, that's great. If we get all the way back to where we were, or even in the vicinity in the overbought position, we're going to see something like this replay itself with THETA token. And if this fractal repeats itself with THETA token, where does that take us? That takes us up to about a $200 THETA token. Look at this. If we come to the top of this line, that's a $229 THETA token. So people think, that these lines up here are just out of control and ridiculous. No, we're simply waiting for this market to bottom out. And when the market bottoms out, see, this is the thing. These bear market moments are times where people just get so discouraged and despondent, and it's almost like you just vomit out everything that you believed about the crypto market, everything that you expected to happen in the crypto market. You just kind of become despondent about it, not realizing that that's what they want you to feel. that the powers that be, the forces that have pushed this market all the way down to this pit, they're doing so because they want to be able to buy it at this cheap price so that they can profit maximally on these moves up. And so you got to be patient. Patience, because bear markets, that's where millionaires are made. Millionaires are made in bear markets. So I say all that to say, I'm not worried at all. I really believe that in the next 90 days, we're going to see a massive move up in the altcoin market. I'm going to look at one more chart. This is the TFUEL chart, the THETA chart, and we're seeing the same thing with THETA. We're coming to the very bottom in the RSI, and once the RSI bottoms out, I mean, look what happens here. When the RSI bottoms out, you get these spikes of moves up. It hits the middle, and it spikes and moves up, and you have this whole progression here where what we saw with TFUEL was utterly ridiculous. I mean, this is insane. If we just look at percentage points, from the bottom of this move to the top of this move was 99,147%. And if we see a move like that again, and mind you, these fractals are not the same percentage point. If we see a move like that again, that takes us to a $20 TFUEL. That's crazy, folks. That's absolute craziness. But if we look at it from a percentage perspective, it's even crazier. Because when the market bottomed out, we saw like 1,000%, like 99,000% in it's almost 10,000% in 455 days. So let's say we get the same kind of move see, this is only 46,000%. If we get 99,000%, let's say 96,000%, 101, whatever, in 455 days, we're looking at like a $50 TFUEL by August 2023. What I'm saying is that when this market starts to move, when this altcoin market starts to move, and when these assets start to move, we're not going to see a 1 week or a 2 week or a 1 month move up. We're talking about a sustained move up over a period of time. And what are we looking for? We're looking for the RSI that has come to the bottom to go all the way back to the top and to top out. And when it starts making lower highs, that is a sign to us that this move is over. Now, once again, this is what I expect. However, we're watching this market. If it tops out and Theta token, our TFUEL, is only here at $1.64, but we start making lower highs in the RSI, then we regroup and we say, okay, we expected, a bigger move, but this is all we've got. But it's also possible that we see an even crazier move than this, because if this is what's the word I'm looking for? My brain isn't working this morning. But it's possible that wave 2 is even bigger than wave 1. It's possible to see a bigger move in wave 1 than we see in wave 2. So don't give up, folks. Don't throw in the towel yet. This party is just about to get started. The party is running late, but it's going to get started soon. And when it gets started, it's going to go crazy, folks. It's going to go crazy. All right, that's all I got for you today. Remember, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. But whatever you do, remember to sleep in peace, wake in joy, walk in love. Thanks so much for watching. This is Cryptogenic signing out.